Welcome to Jolene's Book and Writer's Talk, the show where we dive into the creative minds behind today's most intriguing authors. I'm your host, Jolene McFadden, and this episode is sponsored by Southern Dragon Publishing, helping independent authors turn their stories into stunningly published works. Today, we're venturing into the darker, swampier corners of Florida with horror author Victoria Nation, a native Floridian, biologist, and self-proclaimed elder goth whose gothic and weird fiction explores the eerie beauty of our state's marshes and mysteries. Before we begin, don't forget to subscribe, like, and leave a comment wherever you're listening. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or your favorite platform so you never miss another great author conversation. Now grab your flashlight and step into the shadows with us.
So, my name is Victoria Nations, and I am a horror author. And my flavor of horror is gothic and weird, very spooky, very atmospheric, and based in Florida because I am a native Floridian and an elder goth. So, I love writing about my home state. I feel like there is a lot of weirdness to be found in that liminal space in our quirky communities and in our natural areas and our swamps and our marshes. And that is what I like to write. I'm also a poet. So I have stories and short fiction and essays in several anthologies and magazines. And I also have horror poetry published in various places.
Very nice. I also see that you're very active on social media. So last night I went in and I followed you on Blue Sky and Instagram.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, did you say which county you're located in?
Oh, I am in St. Johns County right now.
St.
I
John.
was born in Orange County. I've lived in Orange, Seminole, and Lake, and now I'm in St. Johns.
I have a booklet that I send out to librarians by county with the author's name and their links and all that. I'm updating it this year.
Oh, yeah, please.
So,
So wonderful. I love interacting with the library system. I've done several, I know we met at Jack's Book Fest in the Jacksonville library system, but man, they are just like the heroes of our community.
they are, and they're still very relevant today. I wanted to ask you, Blue Sky is a fairly new social media. How are you finding that as a book and author person?
The Blue Sky is my favorite right now. I am a longtime Twitter person. I got on Twitter over 10 years ago and found so much community in authors and readers and just the publishing community and stuff. It's such a great way to interact with people. But Twitter has definitely changed flavors in the last couple of years. And so a lot of that positivity and community amongst authors and with authors connecting to readers has moved to Blue Sky. So I think it's fabulous. I like Threads as well. I like Instagram, but Blue Sky is where you get to chat, and I like that the most.
All right. On your website, you have a blog and a newsletter.
I have a newsletter I'm launching soon.
Okay, you're working on it.
I'm working on the newsletter, yes.
Stay tuned.
In time for the next book festival.
Have you ever been on Substack?
I think that's probably where I will launch. I've been looking at different platforms, but I love Substack as a newsletter platform. It's a great deal of diverse voices and interesting content. So what I'm hoping my newsletter will be is I find that people really love catching up on the process of writing. And I think we're writers at all different stages of our publication journey. And so I love being able to interact with people that way. But I am also a biologist by training. So I think there's a lot of good, creepy stuff in biology. So I'll be sharing some science stuff as well.
You'll be putting a link, of course, on your website.
Of course. And I actually have a link tree. Go to my Instagram, go to my Blue Sky, and click on the website link there. It actually lists all my social media as well as my website and my author page on Amazon. And definitely the newsletter will be there as well. I love interacting with readers and other writers on social media.
You didn't join the TikTok bandwagon.
TikTok has always been questionable whether or not it would last. There's certain regulations, and I'm a regulator from way back, so I respect the process, but it's always been questionable of whether it would last. So I have not gotten on TikTok yet. We will see.
Their algorithm is real funny, and especially because you do horror. Another author from Jacksonville, Armand Rosamilia, he's on there, but he's switching more over to Twitch. He likes the Twitch TV and the YouTube. So might be something to consider in the future. You don't have a YouTube channel?
I do not have a YouTube channel.
Okay, that's all right. We don't have to do it all.
I think that's what's overwhelming as writers sometimes is to think you have to have a presence everywhere. And I am definitely a fan of grabbing your channel everywhere, making sure that nobody can pretend to be you or take something you may use in the future, create an account. I think you're most sincere and you come across best to your readers and other writers and support your community wherever you flourish. So that's the way I handle those things.
That's why I tell authors, pick two or three, try them
Mhm.
out, because they all interact with readers and writers differently.
Yes.
And like TikTok is more in your face, it's more interactive, it's that immediate hit of endorphins kind of
Mhm.
thing, but you have to be there all the time.
Yeah.
What is your latest book that you
Mhm.
just recently published in the last 6 months that you want to hawk?
I have something that is coming out like any day. I think it was actually technically maybe launched. I don't know if it's available for purchase yet, but I know the Kickstarter completed and sent out copies at the end of the year. But it's called Dark Spores, and it's from Crone Girls Press, which is a very small, very gothic, atmospheric, creepy press, and it's fungal horror. And I actually have a very romantic story in there. I know that it's a dystopian, a cataclysmic thing has happened, but I was also exploring how, despite all of the difficulties around us, people find family and find community. Crone Girls Press, it's called Dark Spores, and
Cool.
just a fabulous small publisher to work with. I also would say Dark Matter Magazine has got a story in it that's very close to my heart named Ghoul that came out, and Fish Gather to Listen is one of my favorites too. Those are all anthologies that I'm in. They're available on Amazon or wherever you want to buy books.
Excellent. Are you a member of the Horror Writers Association?
I am.
They don't have a Florida chapter, do they?
They do now.
Okay.
So, the Horror Writers Association is an international organization for horror writers. And again, anything that has to do with horror or dark fiction. So, if you write dark fantasy, if you're a poet, if you're a screenwriter, if you're a comic writer, like horror comics, it's open to everybody who's writing dark themed work as well as nonfiction. There's also academics in there. And we have the Southwest Florida chapter. So, they are located in the Tampa area because we only have one chapter in the state. They have virtual meetings several times a year. So they're a fabulous chapter to be a part of and a great community that kind of supports each other for different book events.
That's what I like to hear. Trying to get the Western writers. I'm trying to get them out here too, but I haven't found one yet in Florida. So they're
Well,
mostly out west, of course. This is great news about the horror writers.
yes, yeah. And it's a
Okay,
great
they
way.
don't have a revenue minimum.
Oh, so the way the Horror Writers Association works is anybody can be a member, even just a fan of
Okay,
dark writing and horror writing. And you actually get most of your membership benefits, even with just that lower scale, you've never made a sale membership. So I would recommend it to anybody who wants to get involved in the community. And then there are different tiers for what your sales have been. So I'm an active member, which is the highest tier because I've made enough sales. Even if you have no sales and you've never published anything yet and you just want a horror writing community, they're great for that.
good to know. I know the mystery writers, you have to have a revenue beginning
Yeah.
or base or whatever.
And
But not Sisters in Crime.
I very much respect that, having a professional writing organization means you want to have a tier that represents the folks who are professional writers. They have different needs. You have different needs
Right.
professionally. But I love how the Horror Writers Association is. We really want anybody coming in and we want you to help build that community, build your abilities to rise up through. So I like that.
Excellent. Now, do you read Laurel K. Hamilton stuff?
I have not read her stuff for a while. I used to, though.
Me too. I started with her
It's a great entryway.
fantasy fantasy thing. I love the fact that she waited till the fifth book to have all the really explicit sex scenes in it. That sort of introduced you into the characters. Yeah, she's also a biologist by training.
There's an amazing number of scientists out there. There are archaeologists. I'm a field biologist, but now I work in laboratories. Yeah, I think it taps you into the creepiness.
Oh, yes. So you've got a background back there. All righty. Is there any advice you would like to share with a up and coming horror writer or dark matter writer get them
So
started?
get you started. So two things. One is if you like writing dark themes, don't ever question whether or not is this horror. I'm somebody who believes that horror is a very broad category. Everything from very realistic, no supernatural, nothing weirdness, but very realistic thing that taps into it, all the way up to the most crazy, weird, gonzo horror. I think there is a place for all those stories. There's readers for all those kinds of stories. And so don't ever question, do you fit in? Just write it, and you will find folks that it resonates with. And then the second recommendation would be, and this is something that social media has helped a great deal, is finding your community. Find writers that are at your stage and read for each other, give feedback with each other. Find people who love and celebrate your stuff. Do not put up with folks who aren't into your stuff. Those are not your folks. But once you find your folks, you will grow as a writer and you'll find your business opportunities to publish.
Excellent. Very good advice. Now, as far as editors are concerned, I'm sure you have your own editors that you use, but do you recommend the Editors Association for people that are looking to connect with, to get
Yeah.
started?
So I've not had to hire my own editor because I've worked with a number of publishers. And so they've had their own editors. And then, of course, things like
Oh,
magazine
gotcha.
stuff have their own. But I'm a big fan of finding beta readers. And by beta readers, I mean your friends. So you can swap the labor with one another that write like you or enjoy reading what you write because
Okay.
you want someone to give developmental feedback in a way that is true to your story. If somebody reads your story and it's just not for them, they're not going to be able to give you good developmental feedback. This is how I think you could make the story better. But I also think that if you're going to self-publish, you will benefit from finding a professional editor, somebody you compensate for their time to give you feedback because we need to all get out of our own heads. It's very hard to give a completely objective read of your own stuff. So, always good to find someone that you trust.
You mentioned something about a Kickstarter. Do you use them often, or is this something new?
I have not had to run my own Kickstarter, but I have worked with publishers that are using Kickstarters to publish their books. And I hear mixed feedback, but it's not somebody who's actually run the Kickstarter. You probably want to be aware of whatever the restrictions are. However, it is a great way to get small publishers, indie publishers to get funding to put a book out. You reach a lot of people. You can make a fair amount of money as long as it is a reasonable amount and you've been honest about to yourself about what your budget is. And folks aren't charged unless it's actually successful. You need to be ready to promote it. That's another thing social media helps with is explain to people why they want this book or they want this series or they want this anthology to come out. And they will. People love to contribute to artists and creators.
They like the next new best thing. Have you ever thought about self-publishing your own work yet?
I have thought about it. I'm querying a novel right now that is set in Ybor City, which is over in the Tampa area, and the Villages. It's not called the Villages, but it is a supernatural novel. I don't want to give it away too much about it, but I'm very excited about it. It's very much looking at where we are in midlife and late in life and what kind of celebrating forever youth looks like and is that a good thing or not for our relationships. But it's got a little sexy times and it's got a little blood. But right now I'm querying that. So I'm hoping to get that published by a publisher.
Cool. I don't deal with a lot of traditionally published people, so
Mhm.
it's exciting to learn about it. And how long have you been writing?
Ooh, I would say, I think the answer
Pick,
is all our life, right? But as far as
right.
actually, I'm going to go and get this published. I'm going to be serious. I'm building my craft probably 10 years now. And each year, I think you set your goal for what you're trying to achieve next and you build on that kind of thing. I am very excited to be at the stage that I am at. And I'm very excited for the things that are to come that I can't talk about. That's why you put in the years of work.
This is the last question.
Okay.
What resources would you recommend to find agents and publishers for your particular genre? Which ones do you like to keep track of?
Using Query Tracker is a great free online resource where you can look for publishers and agents that are representing what you write. And there are all different bells and whistles on that. Find a YouTube or find an article on all the things Query Tracker does. It's a very usable interface for that. But what I actually do is I go on social media and I look up the word agent, I look up the word horror, I look at that. And then I go and I look for interviews for folks because an agent, an editor, a publisher, these are business relationships. You want somebody who is legitimate. You want somebody who is looking for what you write. You want to hear from their mouths what they are looking for. Horror, again, is not just one flavor. Speculative fiction, not one flavor. You want somebody who wants what you're looking for. And I also like to see how they behave themselves in public because some folks are not going to be a good personality fit. Social media is great for that. Lots of folks are on social media. They're saying, this is my manuscript wish list. This is what I'm looking for. You can tell a lot from that tone. Also, something to consider, when is this? Blue Sky. So Twitter is known for its pitch parties. But again, Twitter landscape has changed. So there's the first pitch party I know of that's coming to Blue Sky. I think it's the last week of January. If you follow Cynthia Pelayo or you just look on Blue Sky for pitch party, it's where you get to type a short little punch line for your novel. And then different editors and publishers and agents are participating and they're looking for who they want to represent. So those kind of online pitch parties can be great too. Twitter has a number of them. The big horror one is Dark Pit that happens twice a year. I do a lot of research.
Okay, that's a really good thing because we're all trying to figure out which hashtags to
Mhm.
follow on some of these social medias because they're all trying to use them consistently so people can find what they're looking for.
For
It's
example, one of the things I like about Dark Pit, and if you look up DARKPIT, Dark Pit on Twitter, or if you actually just Google it, because he does have a website for it, they tell you what hashtags to use when you're pitching, which is so helpful. An agent knows they're looking for horror, maybe they're looking for contemporary. They kind of give it to you. So you're speaking the same language because you're right. You can come up with your own hashtag.
He's using it. All righty, my dear. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you for joining me, Jolene McFadden, on this episode of Jolene's Books and Writers Talk. I hope you enjoyed my conversation with today's guests and found inspiration for your own reading and writing journey. The show is brought to you by Southern Dragon Publishing, helping authors publish, market, and share their stories with the world. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast, leave a review, and share it with a friend who loves books as much as you do. Until next time, happy reading and keep writing.